Welcome to the channel and thanks for watching. This is the story about Barbara DALY BAEKELAND. Barbara DALY was born and raised in Cambridge, Massachusetts on September 28, 1921. She lived with her mother and father. Her mother dealt with mental issues, and her father also dealt with personal problems. One night when Barbara was 11 years old, her father went into the garage, got in his car, and sadly took his own life by the carbon monoxide poisoning from the exhaust. After his death, Barbara and her mother moved to New York City, taking up residence in the Delmonico Hotel. This is the same hotel that Trump purchased from Corain's estate in 2001. Barbara was a prominent socialite when she became a young woman. She was a beautiful woman and recognized for her beauty. She would pose for painters, and she also modeled in fashion magazines such as Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. Her social status and beauty resulted in frequent invitations to high society parties. Although Barbara lived a very lavish lifestyle, she also had mental health problems like her mother, and was a private patient of a psychiatrist. One day, Barbara got an invitation to Hollywood for a screen test with the actor Dana Andrews. This did not make her famous, but there she did start a friendship with another aspiring actress. The actress introduced Barbara to her younger brother Brooks BAEKELAND, grandson of Bakelite, an inventor named Leo Baekeland. Brooks was a trainee pilot with the Royal Canadian Air Force. Barbara and Brooks began dating. After dating for a short time, Barbara had an idea that she would lie to Brooks and tell him she was pregnant. Brooks didn't hesitate or waste any time, and the couple quickly got married in California. After the marriage, the couple set up home in a luxury apartment in the Upper East Side of New York. They would have extravagant dinner parties for their friends. Over time, Barbara began to drink heavily and became well known to many. Her unstable personality included rude outbursts and episodes of severe depression. She also drank heavily, and both she and her husband participated in extramarital affairs. Although Barbara lied to her husband about her pregnancy in the beginning, she managed to become pregnant and, on August 28, 1946, Barbara gave birth to a son, and they named him Anthony BAEKELAND. Anthony was well taken care of and lived a very lavish life. In the summer of 1954, when Anthony was 8 years old, the BAEKELAND family began a nomadic lifestyle. They still had their home in New York, but spent a lot of their time in Europe. They rented houses and villas in London, Paris, Zermatt, Cap d'Antibes, and many parts of Italy. Barbara and Brooks continued to live extravagantly, entertain guests, and have affairs. In 1960, the families got an apartment in Paris, which was their main apartment. One night they threw one of their lavish parties, and Brooks met an English diplomat's daughter who was 15 years younger than him. Brooks and the young lady began an affair. He really liked her and was not in love with Barbara anymore. So one day Brooks went to Barbara and requested a divorce. Barbara did not take this well at all and tried to take her own life. Brooks was hurt by her doing this to herself, so he stopped the affair he was having with the diplomat's daughter. Anthony was growing up and still living an extravagant life, and in 1967, when Anthony was 20 years old, he met Jake Cooper, a bisexual Australian man, at the Catalan resort of Cadix in Spain. Cooper introduced Anthony to various hallucinogenic drugs, and they would travel to Morocco to get them. It was alleged that Anthony and Cooper began an affair at this time, but this was denied by Cooper. When Mrs. BAEKELAND was informed of this by her friend Barbara Curtis, she got in her car and drove to Spain to bring her son back to Switzerland. She picked him up, and when they got to the French border, Anthony did not have his passport, and Anthony and Barbara were arrested and placed in jail. Barbara and her son quickly got out of jail and returned to Spain. Barbara accepted her son's relationship with Cooper, but preferred him to start a relationship with a young Spanish girl named Sylvie. However, Sylvie started an affair with Barbara's husband Brooks. After Barbara found out about the affair, Brooks told her that he wanted a divorce. This led Barbara to severe depression and another S-word attempt, and her friend Gloria Jones saved her. However, the divorce proceeded and the marriage ended. Brooks married Sylvie and had one son. They later divorced, and he married another woman named Susan BAEKELAND. In 1969, Barbara met a pop art curator named Samuel Adams Green, and they started a relationship. Later on in their relationship, she introduced Adam to Anthony, her son. Green was very unimpressed by his artistic capabilities. After 6 weeks of dating Barbara, Green broke off the relationship. Barbara ignored what he wanted and was very obsessed with him. She pursued Green constantly, and when she returned to the United States in the fall, she walked barefoot across Central Park in the snow, wearing nothing but a lynx fur coat to demand entry to his apartment. In the summer of 1968, while Barbara and her son Anthony were living in Mallorca, she began to worry about her son's sexuality, which was either gay or bisexual. Barbara attempted to, as she put it, fix her son by hiring prostitutes to be with him. After this failed, it was alleged that Barbara began an incestuous relationship with her son. During Anthony's young adulthood, Anthony displayed increasingly regular signs of schizophrenia with paranoid tendencies, and his erratic behavior caused concern among family friends. He was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia, but his father refused to allow him to be treated by psychiatrists because he believed it to be amoral. Things began to get worse after that. In July 1972, Anthony tried to throw his mother, Barbara, under the traffic outside her penthouse on Cadogan Square in Chelsea, London. Because of his physical weakness and the intervention of her friend Susan Guinness, she was saved. The Metropolitan Police arrested Anthony for attempted murder, but Barbara refused to press charges. Anthony was then admitted to the Priory Private Psychiatric Hospital, but was released soon afterwards. Anthony had several sessions with a psychiatrist while living at home. The doctor became so concerned about Anthony's condition that he warned Barbara that Anthony was capable of murder, but Barbara dismissed the doctor's concerns. 2 weeks later, Anthony murdered his mother by stabbing her with a kitchen knife, killing her almost instantly. Police arrived and found Anthony at the scene of the crime. He later confessed and was charged with her murder. She was 51 years of age at the time, and Anthony was 26. Anthony was institutionalized at Broadmoor Hospital. Somehow, a group of Anthony's friends were able to egg him out, and on July 21, 1980, he was released. Anthony was 33 years old when he was released. He immediately got on a plane and flew to New York City to stay with his 87-year-old maternal grandmother, Nene DALY. Everything was going okay, and on the 6th day of him being released, on July 27th, he attacked her with a kitchen knife, stabbing her 8 times and breaking several of her bones. He was arrested by the New York City Police Department and charged with attempted murder and sent to Rikers Island Prison. This prison, located on an island in the East River in the Bronx, that contains New York City's largest jail. This is unbelievable, but after 8 months of assessment by the psychiatric team at Rikers Island, he was expecting to be released on bail at a court hearing on March 20, 1981. However, the case was adjourned because there was a delay in the transfer of his medical records from the UK. The guards returned Anthony to his cell at 3:30 p.m. on March 20, 1981, and 30 minutes later, he was found dead by taking his own life, suffocating himself with a plastic bag. That was the end of Barbara and her son Anthony's story. So what do you think? Do you think Barbara had feelings for her son from being hurt by her past relationships? Or do you think she started to mess with him because she thought that she could change his mind about his sexuality? Thanks again for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.